I've had this mod for way too long. Honestly, I've forgotten about it so many times. I had to check that I still had it and didn't throw it away. But today is the day I'm going to put an HDMI port in my Game Boy Advance. Yes, technically it is a micro HDMI, but how are you going to fit a full-size HDMI into a Game Boy Advance, huh? I don't know. I don't even know how we're going to fit a micro HDMI in a Game Boy Advance. We'll see. If you already have an IPS display in your Game Boy Advance, congratulations. This is going to be a lot quicker and actually a lot less soldering. Well, not a lot less. Depends on what mod you're using. But if you are one of my solderless friends out there, you do not have to solder for this mod. The only reason you need to solder is if you want the sound to come out of the HDMI. If you don't care about it coming out of the TV, if you are fine with it just coming out of the good old speaker, then you don't have to do any soldering. I'm going to do the soldering because it's 2 little wires. It's going to be super easy. So let's not waste any time. Let's tear this thing down. You can do this mod with either the 32 pin or the 40 pin, and you can do it with an AGS 101 screen. You can do it with the original display, or you can do it with an IPS display. On the website, it does state that you should only use the V2, or at least it only says IPS V2. It doesn't say all IPS screens, but we are using an IPS V5 today. And since there are no extra wires for like button controls, there's no settings with this, which I find a little interesting. But since it's literally just plug and play, put the screen and audio through the HDMI, I do think this will work with any IPS display. Funny playing IPS displays, I don't know, because they do have 6 separate listings for this mod. One for the AGS 101, one for the regular screen, and one for an IPS screen. Times that by 2 because there's 2 versions of each of those, one for 32 pin and one for 40 pin. All that being said, I only recommend doing this with a high-speed Edo IPS display because it may not work with a Funny Playing or anybody else's displays. If you want to try it, don't do any of the cutting or anything. Just test it by plugging everything in first. A little inside baseball, I did test to make sure this thing still works, and it works with both the V2 and the V5. I didn't see anything weird trying it with this very display, so that's why I'm going with this one. Plus, my personal Game Boy Advance that has a V2 display in it, I don't really want to cut that shell up because it's the PDX Carpet one. But anyways, this one I don't have a problem cutting up. And if you're looking for a tutorial on how to install an IPS display as well, I have a million videos on that across this channel and my main channel. So if you search Jake Simmons GBA, you'll probably find a tutorial for any of the screens that are available. Once we get this motherboard pulled out, I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to search for SO2 and SO1, which are right here. Those are here and here, right above the B button. And all we really need to do is solder the 2 included wires. I actually give you 3. I actually got an extra ribbon cable and an extra wire, which is nice. And there's also extra one of these connector things. One thing that I find odd about this board, before we get too deep into it, is that there's this connector here that they never explain in the instructions what it's for, what it does, anything like that. So I find that interesting. But yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, we should probably move all of this crap out of the way. Oh, you know what? I just realized this may not work. Nah, I think it'll be fine. I was going to say that this might not work because this might get in the way. The board up here will fit perfectly around all of this. So all you're going to really need to do is make the cut in the shell right there. And I think you're going to have to cut a little bit right there. And if you look over at the instructions, that's all you got to cut. So I'll zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to do that very thing right now. All I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and line it up a little bit. It's obviously not going to be like perfectly lined up since I can't put it down, but I just made a couple of marks in the shell with a craft knife. Just going to make that a little bit more well known. And then they only do it about halfway down, so that's all I'm going to do it. And I'm going to use my Dremel I'm gonna put some safety goggles on though. My eyes are too beautiful to risk it. I may have gone a little too deep. Don't you love the smell of burning plastic in the morning? Pretty sure I went too deep here. We'll see. But I am going to flip this around because now I'm going to get my sanding tools out. You know what? I'm actually going to cut again. Well, good thing there's shielding there. Okay, now I'm going to do some sanding. This may be easier to do if you don't have an IPS display already installed. And we can just do a little check here. And I mean, it definitely fits in. It's not the best hole. I am slightly worried about this not fitting too well, but we can wrap this sucker in Kapton tape and I think it'll be all good. Wow, that's very snug in there though, that's for sure. Goodness. Okay. Let me just clean off the shavings real quick. All right, now I can take these off and we'll go ahead and do the soldering. And we can put some flux down on those and then add some solder to these as well. Then it's going to be pretty simple from here. Just a quick solder to SO2, SO2, and SO1 on both ends. And we're good. It is that easy. Honestly, I don't even think this is a bad first time soldering experiment. If you've never soldered before, not a bad start because that was really easy. But we can take at least one of these ribbon cables and we're going to put it in this bottom latch here, which is on the top right now. And we're going to put it blue side up and we're going to push it as far in as it will go. I'm going to put this ribbon cable back into the IPS screen real quick. And somehow we are going to try and plug this tiny little ribbon cable into this cable thing right here. Maybe it'll be easier with it out, doing it this side first. Okay, now we can plug it back in here. I definitely think plugging it into the HDMI mod board first and then plugging this one in is going to be easier. If you are using the IPS V2 kit, good luck. I don't really have any advice for you. But I will take the included insulating film, even though they don't really have any instructions for that. I will go ahead and put it. Oh, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Kapton tape and just cover up as much of the back of the IPS screen as I can. Perfect cut there. So then that way I can manage these wires in some sort of fashion. This is kind of tough. I need to manage these wires so they're not being pinched. There we go. So I'm taking them out to the side like this, because otherwise I think they would get pinched right in here or anywhere else. Then I think I'm actually going to take another piece of Kapton tape. I'm going to fold this over. Don't crease it, but I'm folding it over. Oh, so I can secure this down some way, somehow. And then, man, this is a bit messy. I think I figured out the best way to arrange all this crap. Okay, so I ended up going back in after recording this to remove the shielding, and while it was annoying to do, it ended up making everything fit so much better. Either way, I just don't think you should do this mod with a V5 or at all really, but this is how I ended up routing everything before I put it back together. Maybe you do need to do the V2 because it's thinner or something like that. I'm going to put all of this back together and we can test it out and hopefully be done with this video. And look at that, my IPS screen is popping out. I'm going to put in my button test ROM to make sure that all the buttons are still working and the screen still turns on. All the buttons work, menu still works. Cool. Anyways, let's try plugging this in with micro HDMI. I'm actually going to get rid of the face cam because that has a micro HDMI for the camera. I can just use that cable and you're not going to see my face for a while. And 3, 2, 1. Okay. We're going to try a different cable because this worked with this last night. I figured it out. Okay. You ready for it? Turning it on in 3, 2, and on screen. Look at that. Isn't that swell? It does look like it's stretched to a 16:9 with a little bit of a border here, but interesting. I can't get the IPS screen menu to pop up now, but I can adjust the brightness just like this. Weird. Okay, so I'm gonna turn up the brightness, and as you can see, once we get to a high enough brightness, the screen freaks out. That's because my poor little Lotta nickel batteries cannot handle the power draw of the mod and this IPS screen. So, to be fair, this IPS mod is the older one that has a pretty decent power draw compared to other IPS kits. And when I was testing this out last night, because I wanted to see if this even worked with this kit, I tested to see if it would work without any screen in, and it does. And I was doing all of this off of my tabletop power supply, and at 3 volts of power, it was just fine. Without an IPS screen in it, just on the boot screen, the GBA and the HDMI mod draws 177 milliamps. At the end of the day, you don't really need the screen on here if you're doing an HDMI mod anyways. So just turn your brightness down before you use it. Maybe it's better with an IPS V2 or another IPS kit in general, or maybe even with the newer V5 kits that have less power draw, thankfully. But if you just turn this down to the minimum brightness when you're going to plug it into the TV, because you can unplug it, it goes out, and then you plug it back in and it'll just pop back up. So if you're playing and you're like, oh, I want to plug it in the TV now, just turn your brightness down, plug her in, not a big deal. But I guess in general, I would say probably shouldn't do this to a V5 kit. I'm also realizing that I'm talking to the camera and I'm not plugged in there anymore. It's plugged in to my Game Boy. No, not anymore. I just unplugged it. I'm sure with my flash cart, this is going to make the power draw even worse, but it seems to be working still. I'm really only looking at this within the OBS preview, which is a very small quarter of the screen, but it looks really crisp. So that's nice. But if we go into something like Pokemon Emerald here, it looks really nice. And even though I look at this particular start screen a lot, it doesn't look like super stretched to me. Okay, the internal batteries run dry, and I don't have a save on this. So interesting. Do I have a save on any of these? Right now I'm testing the audio, but I literally can't hear anything. It could be the cable, but the audio seems a little bit crackly, and it still comes out of the speaker if I want it to, but it does not adjust the volume through the HDMI output when I adjust the volume wheel on the console. Audio's not great. I'm just hoping it's either the capture card or this cable though. I don't think I have a save on any of these. Hold on. Yeah, everything looks good. Just doesn't sound great. And maybe that could be down to like my soldering job, but I don't know. Maybe the shielding on the wires isn't good enough. Maybe that's picking up some interference. I don't know. But it looks good. This is very playable. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is there's no way to turn off the screen because there's no like button controls or anything for it. And it's literally just plugging it straight in here. So you're still running it off of AA's or at best a USB-C power mod. And hopefully you have one of those rechargeable battery mods that allows for charging while playing. I'm gonna mute this because the crackling is getting to me a little bit. And just so you know, if you have one of those USB-C rechargeable battery mods, just because it charges while you're playing does not mean it's good for the mod or your Game Boy. Make sure you have one of the ones that they say in the description of the product or somewhere that you can charge while playing. And if it doesn't specify and you can ask the people who sold it to you, you definitely should. Anyways, I did it again. I was talking to the camera and you can't see me on the camera. You just see me walking around here. But anyways, I'm going to save the rest of my thoughts for my full review that should be up on the main channel as you're watching this right now. Now it lets me open the mod menu. But my first impressions are, I don't think this is that bad of a mod. I wish there was more features to it. And I definitely think that you should only do this to a V2 because, again, the screen wants to burst out. It's crying out for its mother. It's literally reaching out, trying to become a 3D display. But I'm going to be playing this for the next few days, reviewing it, and hopefully this will be good enough for me to not have to buy Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch.